So what I'm going to start off by saying is Shadow Empire is, in my opinion, obviously just my opinion. Everything about this is just Tortuga Power's opinion. Sorry, I should have introduced myself. I'm Tortuga Power. I have a YouTube channel that focuses on 4X and wargaming titles. I actually got my start doing Advanced Tactics Gold, which is one of the predecessor games from VR Designs. VR Designs is the developer, Vic, who makes Shadow Empire as well. So of course I was very excited when I saw that he was making a new game. He came out with the Decisive Campaign series. Now Advanced Tactics Gold you could consider it borderline 4X in that you can play game mode, which is kind of 4X. A single city start with no roads. You basically have to do everything yourself from a single city. You expand. So the foundations for a 4X game were always there, but he moved then to Decisive Campaigns, did something more historically oriented. Another fantastic series. If you're interested in World War II from a historical standpoint, it's very similar, I would say, to War in the East, the Gary Grigsby title. Maybe slightly less complex, a little bit of better... I'm not going to say entry level, because that's just a complete misuse of the term, but it's easier to learn, at least, than Gary Grigsby titles. Plumber's Smack, can't wait for this thing. Welcome, Plumber. Spock, hope you feel better fast. Thank you. So the first thing you can do in this 4X title, I'm going to call it 4X, but it's 4X/wargame. You can choose what kind of planet we want to live on. We want to have our start in. The background for this, I don't know the lore completely, but I think that's actually still in development, or we're learning more about that as the game develops. But there's a galactic republic, and it collapses, and you're stuck on a planet after this apocalypse. And now it's essentially society has degraded down to the city-state. It kind of reminds me of like a Mad Max type scenario. And the very first preview playthrough I'm going to do is on a Seth-class planet, a desert planet. Because, of course, I can't think of a desert planet without thinking of Arrakis. So I'm going to do like a post-Dune Arrakis playthrough. So I know that I think in Dune eventually the spoiler alert. Well, so, the planet transforms. Let me just put it that way to not spoil too much. But you should read the books Dune if you haven't. They're great. Frank Herbert's a very good writer. Anyway, but today I think we'll start with something. We'll start with something a little bit more Earth-like. You can live on a lava planet. We could be a lava planet. We could choose a Medusa planet with liquid water, rainfall. There's a lot of hostile alien biology. There's just so many different ways. I like to have some kind of immersion into the world I'm living in, or that I'm creating a game universe around. So for me, when I pick one of these planets, I have in my head already some kind of backstory. Like you can choose a small moon and just say this is a mining moon. So the backdrop for the story would be this small moon was, just ore rich for some reason. People landed there just to mine it, but then this apocalypse happened. Maybe if we think of it from like a Dune type standpoint, there's no more galactic travel, intergalactic travel. The navigators are dead or something. We're stuck on this planet now just by ourselves. Or you could say that you were on a Medusa world, Siwa world. You were just like an agricultural world. We were one of the planets providing. If you're playing like a 4X title with multiple planets, think Stellaris or Distant Worlds, any of those, you maybe dedicated this planet purely to farming. And then suddenly society collapses and it's a bunch of farmers trying to figure out who's going to control the planet. So that's what we're looking into here. I'm going to stick with a Earth-like world today. We'll do the detailed planet generation. Fog of War, you can do complete, which makes it like a pure 4X. You don't know where you're starting, whatever. I like partial because in the backdrop to my story, we know what the world looks like just because the apocalypse happened. You could probably imagine that in like a complete world, so much in the future, this is thousands of years in the future, obviously. Everyone's so dependent on GPS, they don't even know how to get out their front door without GPS. So in that sense, you could imagine Fog of War, like, oh, the satellites went down. We actually don't know what the planet even looks like without GPS. But I'm going to imagine that we do know some aspects of the planet, the general planet geography, that somebody somewhere saved a map. Obviously one player. I'm going to do a city start today. Just start with the very basics. This will give us the most 4X feel that we're starting small and expanding. If you prefer more of a war game feel, you can do a 2 or 3 zone start. You can start with armies. We'll do militia only for this. We'll start with the lowest tech. I'm not going to turn on any of the story modules. Normal development speed, honestly, I mean, I remember Civilization had like marathon, different game modes that slowed the development. I think that this is more or less what the development speed here is. You can slow down the game. The game already has it's a pretty long-term game as it is. I don't think that we need to do this, but it's one of those things that if you really want to stretch it out, it could be very fun to do this later. I'm only going to start with the Supreme Council, and I'm going to do beginner difficulty. The AI is very good. Shadow Empirific. Cerberus planets are hot. Dune is indeed great, though I have been mostly inspired by... Oh, so Shadow Empire is... This is Vic, I guess. So if you have any developer-related questions, you can just at Shadow Empire... Shadow Empire Vic. Yes, it's Shadow Empire Vic, not Evic. So we'll look at... we'll have him in the chat. Thank you, Vic, for showing up for the stream. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can just pour them out in the chat. I'll try to look at the chat. Unfortunately, my chat window, Empirific, is new title. I'm going to have it, it's kind of all the way smashed on the right side of my second monitor due to some monitor setup issues. But anyway, so what kind of planet do we want? Earth-like. This one is 2/3. 1 AU being 1 astronomical unit is, I think, like 150 million kilometers. Look at the worst thing you can do on a stream is just throw out numbers and just invite severe correction. But it's the distance from Earth to the Sun on average. It's an elliptical orbit, but the average is 1 AU. So this is going to be a very light gravity planet. I haven't seen very heavy gravity planets. This is a bit warm for an average temperature, 30 degrees Celsius. 2.7 billion people, planet age is 2.7 billion years. And this is the hex grid. So we can actually see this planet if we wanted by looking at this. Okay, this is what it would look like without any development done yet, right? So we're actually creating the planet right now. Now if I want, let's just practice re-rolling a few times. This one almost has this is practically the same orbit distance to the star as Earth. Of course, it's maybe a slightly different star. All this stuff Vic has put into a great algorithm for generating realistic looking planets, and it's obviously a pretty astonishing amount of work has gone into just the planet generation. We're not going to be able to fully appreciate it here. I'm just going to pick this and go with it. Radius of 3,000 kilometers. I know that the Earth's circumference is 40,000. I suspect this is radius from center of Earth to equator. And I can't do the math on... It looks like, I think it's slightly smaller than Earth. Spin is 20 hours. This is pretty good, though. 18 degrees, I think that's probably much closer, at least, if not very close to the average temperature on Earth. So we'll go with this. Looks super cool. I know, this is... okay, so very cool. Now, the geology has been implemented, one pass at it, and we can see without reading the description that now our flat world of a particular size has started to fill in with some water, some mountain chains, and you can feel the world being built, right? And it's so cool that you can sit here and look at the world being built, and I have not seen any kind of geology that has struck me as ultra unrealistic. I like how it seems like in general you have, rivers leading to a lake. Usually rivers will emanate from a mountain. It's all this kind of cool stuff, and then maybe there's a lot of water in here. We're probably going to get some marshes. It's just very cool how the world is done. Now, I happen to like this planet, but let's go ahead and redo it just to give us some flavor, some more variety on what we might generate. It's all dirt right now, but don't worry, the actual plant life is going to come in the next stage. So this is another one. A lot of mountain chains running east-west in this one. This would be a really cool world to think about. There's like a huge mountain chain which extends practically... This will be looping, so the right side will connect with the left side, but they had to stop it somewhere. So there's a huge mountain chain. This world is defined by one huge mountain chain. Very, very cool to think about. Let's re-roll one more time. Just to get a little bit more variety. Oh, this is an even more mountainous one. I'm going to actually shy away from a mountainous one because it'll impede our movement a lot, but you can see that this one's generated the same way. It might be that the world we've chosen, I don't know enough about how the geology, the planet size and all that is impacted by, or the mountainous. I thought mountainous would be mostly how active, geologically active. So if we're seeing geologically, whoops, I just hit restart. Sorry about that. Okay, we'll have to start over, but that's fine. Let's stick with this. 1 degree. This is a much colder planet. So there's a lot that goes into world creation, basically, and I'm not a geologist. I don't know all these things. I suspect that Vic has looked into this a little bit. I'm not the expert. Let's re-roll and get a little bit of mountains, if we can. So what I'm saying is, the mountains and the plains and the ocean probably depends on the planet you're choosing. Now, I like this. This is what we're going to go with. So this is our planet. Some sparse mountain chains. One, what we would call like the big mountain chain, is somewhere on the northern hemisphere. Maybe this is the northwestern hemisphere. Right next to some marshes. You have a big water feature in the north. It's just very cool, right? This game is so cool, just the way it gives you all this you can play with. We'll continue with this one, and now we're going to see what the vegetation is going to look like. The first go at vegetation decided that there wouldn't be much at all. And we could run with this. So we have some sparse vegetation running over there near the mountains. Looks like a lot of the vegetation runs near the mountains in this world. We'll random again. I mean, I only have 2 hours to show this, but I really like showing off this because this is just showing you how much replayability you're going to have. I love this. We're going to go with this. So we have some deep forests. We have some lighter plains areas. This looks perfect. And this is a world I can just imagine, you know? Okay, let's go with it. So atmospheric human hazard is insufficient. So I think that this means that we will need some kind of, like there's not a whole lot of oxygen. We're going to need some kind of rebreathers or something in order to have sufficient oxygen for people to live. There's also the details. You can read the entire world creation synopsis, the full conclusion of it. We'll just continue for now to try to get into the game. Yeah, Pixel says on the first day Tortuga. So you can create your own world. Okay, so now we're fast forwarding to colonization. This world existed for a while, and then suddenly people came along. This is pre-apocalypse, so this is basically right before. In the Galactic Republic, what was this planet like? Is it a mining planet? Is it a services-oriented planet? How big was the population? How many individual zones were there? Zones I kind of think of as nations. You know, if we imagine a galactic republic, then every planet would still have these, you know, it'd be like every planet would be probably a United Nations of sorts, made of individual nations, or zones in this case. So I'm just going to re-roll because let's see what kind of things are possible to generate. Usually population is between 1 million and 1 billion. You can get over 1 billion. I have not seen less than 1 million. So, and in this one, this is more of a services-oriented planet. A little bit less mining. This one even more services-oriented. Generally, the more population you have, the more services-oriented you're going to be. So if you wanted to simulate a mining world, you would go with a little bit less on population. Or an agricultural world would be even less population as well. Now this planet, I think because of the atmospheric hazards, is not going to be ideal for farming. I don't know if we'll need a dome or not. We'll see that when we get in. So just generating a few things. I like a slightly bigger population because it gives you these runes, which you can see in this hex here, which are nice for harvesting. So let's go re-roll maybe one more time. This is, okay, one more time. Let's get a little bit larger population. Okay, we'll go with this. So our planet, it has been receiving colonists for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. And there's various factions with their headquarters scattered throughout the globe. And then what we do is we simulate the apocalypse, the collapse of the Galactic Republic. And Vic, please feel free to correct me on any of this. I'm making up my own interpretation as I go. None of this is official. So the Dissolution War, which destroys the Galactic Republic, has now occurred, and what was once a population of, what were we at, like 60 million? 3 million people have survived. Devastating. And the whole architecture, the whole foundation, the pillars of society have crumbled. What we're left with is 3 million people. 21% of these people decided to become scavengers, 41% raiders, and 38% farmers. You can read all of the little lore going into it here. I will skip through this and we'll just start continuing, which will get us actually into the game now. So this is the planet summary. Let's go ahead and dive into the game. And I just want to say that there's a lot which is going to happen on the first. There's a lot going on in the GUI, and it's it's perfect. I just want to say, it's overwhelming for the first minute, but it's very easy once we get into it. So I'm going to be the Tortugan regime for no particular reason. And High Ruler, I prefer High Lord and Ruler. We're obviously going to be a very democratic society. For colors, my primary color, I'm going to stick to something more like my YouTube colors. So our units are going to be green, like my channel kind of is. Green for the turtle. And the primary color of our empire, our regime, is going to be blue. I'm going to go with blocked. I really like that configuration. Let's see what kind of flags we have to deal with. I kind of like the one we have already. A turtle, a castle. It's perfect. I can't change it. It's perfect. So, the great cities were destroyed in the Dissolution War. The remainders of humanity dispersed into the wastelands. Now, we get to choose a little bit about how we want our government to be set up in the beginning. Now, although I just declared myself High Lord and Ruler, I'm not going to go with enforcement here. I prefer either government or commerce, because although I'm kind of having some fun thinking about a more dictatorial rule, I do prefer a more economic and research-oriented, actually a government of the people, as shocking as it may be to those of you who know me. So let's promise technological breakthroughs to give them hope. And the predecessors, how did they manage to knit people into a tight group? They wrote a book of law and enforced it strongly. Sounds good to me. Now the last thing we can choose between is democracy, meritocracy, and autocracy. This rebellion that they had was against corruption and lack of progress, or... yeah, let's do that. I like that. Oh, okay, sorry. Thank you, Shards. So there was a separate window. It's not showing up. I will have to switch the stream real fast so we can see this. Let me do that. Give me 1 second. I have this all. It's all. There's contingencies for everything. Space. Just takes me a second. Don't worry, I'm still here. We're gonna have it in just a moment. There we go. Should be back up now. Transform that. Full screen. Wait, is it working? Oh yeah, I think they did come in separate windows. I don't know if it was working correctly. Did you guys catch all the intermediate there? I think it might have. Okay, well, let's hope so. You are High Lord and Ruler of the Tortugan regime. Let's get into it. So, now, the first thing is going to be these eras that come. We're in an era of relative calm. This means that we get extra political points during this era. Once we survive this era, we'll switch into a new era. There is some card-based mechanics about this. Don't worry about it. We'll get into it later. So we're being granted some to start. And the very first thing we're going to address is our Ascension speech. So this is the game. This is what you're going to be looking at, and this is what I'm happy to look at. You can see what's... yeah. I thought that maybe the windows were being cut off since I'm using a interesting method for capturing, but what's our Ascension speech? Do we want to champion that all classes will be subject to me? Obviously promoting... these are the 3 different balances of government that you can choose. You can choose a government more focused on mind, heart, or fist. You can choose a government more focused on the government itself, enforcement, or commerce. And you can choose meritocracy, democracy, or autocracy. So those are the 3 choices we had when we moved in the empire creation. And we can kind of enforce something more here. So essentially, do I want everyone to be subject to me? Do I want this to be do I want to champion the people? Or do I want to say the workers and bureaucrats? Well, this will have some impact on the people currently under us. Okay, so when I re-rolled it, we actually started with 2 zones here. But that's okay, we'll roll with this. The workers and the bureaucrats. Let's go with this. Now, our Foreign Affairs Council, I was going to set this all up, but I messed up in our replay when I redid the world. We are now a 2-zone start with 4 initial councils. So this will be a little bit more complex. We're diving really into the thick of it. But that's okay. This will give us a good idea of what the game's going to play like in the mid-game. You can imagine, and I'll kind of bring you up to speed on what would have happened in the first part, that we would have expanded to 2 zones ourselves. So Foreign Affairs wants to know if they should focus on diplomacy against other major factions or against other minors. The distinction here is kind of like Civilization's other nations versus city-states, if you're familiar with those references. The majors are going to be the big players doing a lot of research, creating armies that you have to go up against. But you still contend with minors, which essentially are kind of gobbled up as the majors expand. So I do want to focus on majors, actually. Let's do that.
Yes, sir.
So this is the decision-making screen. We're going to have decisions. This is very familiar to the concepts that were in Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa. Now we have a bunch of models. We have infantry. Do we want to develop a new infantry model, truck model, artillery? So these are all the models that we have. I'm going to say no new orders. Well, okay, let's just quickly pick up a new infantry one. We'll select the existing rifle one. We're going to have them use automatic rifles. Let's get them into padded environmental suits. Just has an increase in armor.
Understood.
You know, give the model research people something to do. And here we go. So, this is our... Okay, so this is actually a single zone. So we're a single zone start. But do we start with an army? No, okay, so it looks like the only thing which changed is that we are going to have 4 councils in addition to our Supreme Command Council. Now, let me explain a little bit about what's going on in the interface here. Because it all makes sense, it's all perfect. It just takes a little bit of getting used to, as any new game does. So I would kind of say that this is a game that's somewhat like if Aurora 4X was pushed into one planet. Something like that, or a Distant Worlds universe that you did on a planet. That's probably even a better example. We're going to have, so our cities, every hex here actually, but mostly what we're going to be doing is building inside of our cities. They're going to have assets, which is just the buildings. We construct assets over here. This is our resources on the left. It's pretty intuitive. We have food, water, fuel, ammunition, metal, industrial points, which is just your factory workers and all that, how much production capability they have. Or you can think of this maybe as even like processed items. We have power, radioactives, which we won't need for a while. This is the number of recruits available to our nation right now. So to raise troops, everything in this game has got a very nice detailed model. And you don't feel it all the time, but it's there. So there's recruits that we are slowly picking up. So people are slowly joining our military recruit pool. And we can change the number of recruits in the city, but that'll have negative impacts on the number of population we have. So there's all trade-offs. Colonist, if we want to found a new city, which we probably won't get to. Rare metals, machinery stuff, so if we want to build a high-tech factory, we may need this. And there's also something called high-tech parts, which is for even more advanced. So this is like somewhat advanced construction and really advanced construction. Now, the hexes themselves can have resources in them, which is, you're very familiar with this. If I'm using Civilization as an example, there would be strategic or luxury resources in a hex. And sometimes you have to do something for the strategic resources to mine them. Very same thing here. It's a concept we're all familiar with. In Distant Worlds, you have a planet, you've got to put a mining station down on it. So this hex has metal, as illustrated by that little stack of metal right here. This one has rare metals, so just matches. It's very easy. And then if we choose to put an asset on that actual hex, which in this case we put a metal mine on this metal hex, now we're actually going to be acquiring metal. So there's a water icon here. I see that it's highlighted in green, which means we probably have an ice mine there. And that's just how the resource gathering works. You build some resource extraction tools on the appropriate hex, and you get the resources. So for things like industrial points, we don't have a hex resource for that. We just have to have an industry of some kind. So our industry is here, and we can choose to, if we go to construction, go over industry. We can't, the very first turn, it doesn't tell us that it's connected to the logistical network, but on the second turn, it'll recognize that it's connected, and we would have an option to upgrade this. The upgrade cost would take some amount of workers, some amount of resources, some amount of time to complete. So it's all really intuitive, you know. I think it may seem a little bit overwhelming on your first glance, but it's beautiful. Yeah, fuel ammunition, the usual. So I'm trying to catch up on chat here, but hopefully we have wonderful people in the chat like Vic answering any developer-related questions. Now, my favorite thing about picking a world with a higher starting population is that you get these runes with scavenging capability. So these runes, they allow us the opportunity to recycle things, which is great. So I think it won't be able to do it on this first turn, but on the second turn we're going to create a recycling facility and we're basically going to process those runes and turn things into metal, rare metal, and we can even extract some fuel from that. Okay, so let's actually get started since, you know, we're 30 minutes in and I haven't done a single thing except for a few decisions. We're going to start moving and expanding. What looks like to our north, we can see by this red border, this is probably a major, and it is. They happen to be hostile towards us. I don't know if we're not exactly at war, but the relations are not good. One thing we might want to do is start positioning some troops on the border there, or we can just ignore them and try to expand. I'm going to choose to expand as fast as possible. So this is the initial rush. So you imagine the Galactic Republic has collapsed. Our people have claimed an initial territory, but we don't really have claims on anything beyond that. And the only way to get those claims is to do the old Lewis and Clark thing. Well, I guess it's pre-Lewis and Clark. We're just going to go over there and start moving into territory to claim it, as you'd expect from almost any 4X game, just like Civilization. We're just going to move in and start claiming it that way. So we're going to move over here, and we're going to start claiming this territory. And I'm doing this because I want to claim this territory before this other major empire starts to claim it, just in case there's something valuable here. I mean, we have an economic council which has a prospecting resource. So just to show you the amazing complexity that goes into it, but something you don't really need to micromanage if you don't want to. Our budget right now, so there's several different resources. We have all the game resources, but then you have money, and then you also have something called bureaucratic points, which is essentially the amount of resources the government has to do the things it wants. So right now our bureaucratic points are 153. And that is divided among our councils. So you have these resources, you have these people, but you have to assign them somewhere, right? We've allocated 20% to our Supreme Council, which is going to generate political power for us, allow us to execute these stratagems, these cards, and to pick, when we have decisions, this is essentially like government resources at liberty to do anything. Then we have an Economic Council. They can focus on discovery, research, so 20% of the budget of our bureaucratic points goes to the Economic Council. We can change these numbers. We can change the council numbers, and we can change the individual sub-council categories. Everything here is manageable by the player. Now, you influence the numbers, but you don't get to decide the exact ones. What you go and you tell the person in charge of the council, who, if I can switch to a different one real fast, your cabinet, they all have various opinions of you. And these people, they may like you, they may not like you. And their ability to really align them with your desires is a lot dependent on how much they like you. So you may have a really, really competent advisor you want to put into a position, but he may really not like you. And why they do or don't like you often is determined by your style of government. If I'm an autocratic regime and this Ian Hicks happens to not like autocratic regimes, he in fact seems to like meritocracy, does not like fist, prefers enforcement, so it doesn't seem like he'd be that opposed to autocratic stuff. But anyways, if I went with a very strong fist profile, if I was going fully with fist, and I really lowered my meritocracy, Ian Hicks would not appreciate that. And although he's not a very capable advisor, capacity is basically their potential, it goes from 1 to 5. He's not very capable, but let's pretend he was a 5. I may want to put this guy in, but I know if I do, he's going to not like me, and the worse your relations are with somebody, the less that they align with your desires. So if I wanted to, I can probably just let's call Ian Hicks, since we already did, and let's ask him to assign priorities. So I used a little bit of my political power, my time resources, to ask Ian Hicks to manipulate my Supreme Council task priorities. Do we want him to focus more on political power? Do we want to focus more on generating stratagems, cards that we can play? I think that we'll have him focus slightly more on general stratagems, a little bit less on political power. So can you mix human and computer opponents? You can. Yeah, so we'll confirm this new. This is not a huge deal. I'm just really more of a demonstration. The one thing I would like to do actually is go to our Economic Council. Let's call him. This is something where we really can manipulate some important things. So Rico Turner, he has a relatively positive relation with us, which is good. The higher their relation, also the more productive they are. You can think of this as, do you like your boss? If you like your boss, you're more likely to be productive. So he likes us enough that he's going to give us pretty good work. 100 would be like they'd be really putting in overtime to get the jobs done, but he's still good enough, let's say. Now let's increase his. Let's turn down the economic policies for now, because right now we want to save up some political points. We don't want too many economic policies anyway. Block that. And then I'm going to increase my discovery and research, because this is stuff which is more important to me. Now this is such a cool mechanic, and I don't know why nobody's ever done this before, or perhaps they have and I'm just not aware of it. There's 2 stages to research, and this has always been so interesting. People have had this question. I know Stellaris has had this question. I know that so many people have tried to tackle research in a realistic manner. Well, Vic, by the way, you've done it. I think this is a really good system. There's 2 stages to research. First, there's this discovery science phase, which has no government application, but it's just our scientists, we've given them money. This is essentially how real life works. The government gives scientists money, like say to just research quantum computing, a topic I'm familiar with. So here's money, go and look at quantum computing. They go and they say, hey, we built a 50-qubit machine. The government says, hey, that's great, we can't do anything with that, but at least you started to discover the technology. So what they've done is they've made little scientific breakthroughs, and then what happens from there is discoveries are turned into something you can actually use through research. So let's say you've made this 50-qubit system and it's got all this theoretical stuff and all that, and you're like, hey, we can develop that core idea into something functional. We need another research project for that. Now, discovery is science, right? We don't know. It's pushing the boundaries of science. We don't know what we're going to get out of it. We didn't know that quantum mechanics was going to come around in the early 1900s. So we didn't develop things based on that. But, let's try to use a more practical example. Even like the metallurgy, using steel. Like, okay, at some point people discovered you can use steel. And then once we discovered that that's something you can do, we researched how to make better steel. Krupp steel, or Harvey steel, and then Krupp steel, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, it's really cool that this is divided into 2 parts. Discovery, which you don't have control over what you're going to discover, and then research. Now, I can go into management and show the tech tree. So just to show, the green, completely green, means we've already fully researched it. Yellow, which we don't have any of right now, is things that we've discovered, but we haven't researched to make it practical. And then the grayed out means that, I should say the light gray, like this in engineering, means it's available for discovery, but we haven't even discovered it yet. And then the dark gray, shaded out, means we have not even gone far enough in science to invent it. So very cool. There's a whole wonderful tech tree here. And you can see how great this game is, right? It's just really cool, I think. So, that said, let's spend an entire hour just getting through one turn if I'm not careful here. So let's push forward a little bit more. I'm going to focus a little bit more on discovery right now because we don't have anything discovered, and then we get to choose the research once that's going on. So we'll confirm our new changes. And then let's get through moving everyone. I think there's some areas down here, maybe further to the east we could, let's try to wrap around on the outside over here. Send one unit that way. We have our western borders, which we don't know about yet. So we know what the whole planet looks like, right? We know the general geography, but we have no idea what's going on with factions outside of our own. So I do want to do a little bit of exploration without, of course, running out of supply. There is a supply system, just like in the previous VR design titles. So we have to, if we go too far, we actually have to build roads to bring up supply to our people, which is all very cool. Yeah, let's move somebody over here. We have a small little mountain range protecting our southern border right now. And a lot of space over to the east, which is, yeah, probably where these two people will go. Clearing some space. So for the very first turn, I think we're done. And let me hit end turn and then pay attention to chat. The roleplay potential impressive. I agree, Old Crow. And welcome, Old Crow. The different victory conditions. I mean, that's a good question. I have not even looked into that. Honestly, when I play games like this, it's so sandboxy for me. I really determine my own victory conditions. I know that global conquest is supposed to be your objective, so probably there's a victory condition if you eliminate every miner. It's not something I've even thought about. I just have too much fun immersing myself in playing. But it's a fair question. Alright, so our militia is holding a parade to show their strength and loyalty. We don't have an army, so we only have a militia. We're still in the period of relative calm. It's going to give us some political point bonus. Okay, so we're starting to discover things. Hey, the scientists have come back and they have this new concept called power plant. Well, I think that sounds like a very good thing to have. We've also come back, and this is our military research council. They're going to research military-related items. Same two-step process, discovery and then research. They've discovered radiation filters. So we can choose to research that if we want. And we'll probably get some decisions asking us what we want to research. Nope, not this time. Okay. So let's look at the different decisions. Good thing to figure out what we want to do. Okay, so the militia parade, we can choose to not give them any money. That doesn't seem to make people very happy. It will save us money. We don't have very much money also, so it is a concern this early on. We could also allocate some credits, just some middle ground, which will give us plus 10 militia points, militia being a profile thing, independent of the other three Triforce arrangements of the government. So this is kind of a nice middle ground, and I see that these guys would be fairly happy with this decision. Or if we wanted to just basically blow the entire treasury on rewards to the militia, we could go with this last option, which would have the really nice benefit of improving relations, especially with the Military Research Council. And this is just an advisor, so we're not... The background, by the way, is what faction they're a part of. So even in our city-state, there's different factions competing. It looks like we have the Lawful Syndic League, and we have the Justice Knights. He is a member of the Justice Knights. You can see on that fifth line there. Leader is a member of the Justice Knights. The Justice Knights, they like meritocracy. We're going to be on good terms with the Justice Knights, considering meritocracy is actually the aspect of the government that it best defines us at the moment. Now, the Lawful Syndic League is autocratic and government-related, so we certainly agree with the government side, but I don't plan on making us autocratic, despite the title High Lord and Ruler. Welcome, John. Let's go with the middle ground here. We have the money right now. Before I choose that, though, I just want to make sure there's not another decision which requires money. So we have a dissatisfied elements in the Dalhusen Hansa. Yikes. Is this the governor? No. This is a foreign faction. Apparently there's growing dissatisfaction inside Dalhusen. Well, let's take a moment, pop this up, and see where the Dalhusen faction is. Like, who is this? If we go to strategic map, Dalhusen Hansa. So, okay, these are the people to our east. It's a minor regime, which could mean a lot of things. It could be a raiders. It could just be a group of raiders. It could actually be a city-state, just a minor city-state. We don't know. But this is a political entity we have to deal with, take seriously. So now let's look. So there's somebody in there who says that they want us to invade. Okay. 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 Will we promise to evade within 12 rounds? Well, we'll have to fund them, which will cost us 250 credits, and now you can see the budget is already being stretched very tight. And by budget here, I don't mean diplomatic or like a bureaucratic budget. I mean literally our treasury. This would give us democracy and heart. Otherwise, we get government and fist. So we are government. We are pro-government. None of these things are going to break the bank, as in they're not going to swing our government wildly in one way. It's just going to be some minor adjustment. Now, who is going to be annoyed by this? Our Director of Supreme Council. First SHQ is going to be in favor of that. He's our military leader. Leads all our militia right now. Director of Economic Council likes this. The model design guy likes this. And the Foreign Affairs does not. Well, that's a tough decision. I mean, this is why they're decisions, because they're tough. Let's do it. We're going to invade. We're probably going to need to raise an army for this, but I'm sure we'll find a way to make it work. As long as this doesn't require money, we're okay. Ominous sealed door in Iron Spring. In the deep tunnels below Iron Spring, we have found pristine intact quarters of a pre-cataclysmic facility. Wow! They led us to a sealed door marked indefinitive quarantine. Something under indefinite quarantine. What do we recommend? Should we just open the door? That doesn't sound good. Make sure the door stays closer. Now, this is a really interesting decision. I haven't seen this before. Destroy the whole tunnel complex leading to this door. I think we should study the situation first. Now, unfortunately, Iron Spring does not like this situation. But we're going to make a roll. So D&D dice people, get out your dice. We have a 1D1 as a D100 plus 28. So that's going to be on average a 78 versus on 100 plus a 1D50. So 50 D50 plus 100 versus a D100 plus 28. Well, I mean, we're certainly not on average going to defeat this. I mean, like most of our rolls won't even get us to the low range of this, to 101. Which means we probably will fail, and I don't want to fail. So should we just open the door? Man, it's probably going to lead to some terrible thing, but my curiosity, Tortuga, is just so curious. All right, a welding team has managed to open the door. Behind the door, we found a series of medical laboratories. We found a wealth of information gaining us the technology of water atmospheric recomposition. All right, I feel like we got lucky here. But that was a fun little choice. So we'll give the militia their money. We have we can choose some trading as well. There's even trading in this game. The resources that we have, if we have a surplus of some, we can sell that off. So maybe, let's see, water is usually one I have a little bit of an excess of. Oh wow, 840. Let's sell not all of that. Let's go with the 500. It's a good chunk of change, 105 credits. I like to have some money in the bank in case you get another decision. You can always sell some rare materials, or rare metals. Okay, so people are out of supply. This bottom left shows their supply. A lot of people were out of supply. I think that's because the logistical network wasn't set up last turn, and I suspect that they will have their supply back this turn. Let me just confirm that by checking. No logistical. Hey, Vic! Do we know what's going on here? It says that nothing's connected to the logistical network. Do I not have... Oh dear. I don't have... Okay. I found the problem. We don't have a... logistical... We don't have a transport station. I think this is just a bug. I think so. I've never seen this before, so it's certainly rare. It must be from this exact start. If you do 4 council, 1 whatever start. So I think we're gonna have to quickly remake the game, which is fine. This is all part of the pleasures of early access. I'm gonna wait for Vic's response. In fact, it's almost been an hour, so let's take a He thinks it's his fault. Okay, good. So we need trucks. Basically, this is a cool aspect of the game is supply, as I was mentioning. Now, usually the private economy has truck stations. Now, what we could do, if we had a connection to the logistical network, we could actually build a rail station and implement a nation which was completely run off of railway. Wouldn't that be interesting? No roads. We didn't use roads at all. Only to have troops travel faster, but we delivered everything by supply by rail. That'd be kind of a cool futuristic thing, but unfortunately we don't have a logistical network in order to fix this. So let's just quickly jump into a new game. I didn't see an option to build a truck station, Vic. So, I think it was... Actually, it jumped me into kind of a... Well, I don't know what it did. But this should work. So let's try this again. We can re-roll another planet. In fact, this is actually a great opportunity for us to show off something else. We can go to... sorry, let me close this. We can go to a different start. We can actually just jump right into a planet. Or do a quick generation. Let's do the quick generation, just to show off. For those of you who are a little bit less interested in the planet generation, we can choose like Siwa, and then we can go to quick planet generation. You could just drop me into a game right now, which says, go to quick planet generation and immediately enter the game. But let's do this quick planet generation and see what it comes up with. Okay, so we have a planet with 2/3 distance from Earth's distance. So this is like 100 million kilometers away. 3 majors and 30 minor regions. We have no atmospheric hazards, so that's nice. And forest. I think look at this. This is so cool. All the worlds that are generated. This is perfect. What a wonderful world. Oh, it looks really nice. So we have like this center of population, then you can tell there's kind of like the wilderness. The aspect of the world which was kind of the part of the world which, even though we're colonizing it for 1,000 years, it's kind of ignored over here. This was probably the hub of civilization when it was before the Galactic Republic collapse. Very interesting. Okay, so let's start this game and see if we this time have... Let's go with Tortugan regime. High Lord and Ruler. Choose my colors again. Which one do we want to choose this time? Oh, yeah, we can choose the same one. Nice. Or we can do something a little bit different. A wheel with fire on it. Or blades, however you want to interpret that. We'll just go with the same one. Same questions. Sorry about that. Same questions here. I think we'll go with... let's go with commerce this time. Let's make it commerce focused. Okay, and let's go with mind again. And you know what? Maybe we'll go with democratic. Or no, I like meritocracy. I'm a man of habit. A creature of habit. Okay, so now it's a new start. Tortugan regime. Our era this time is an era of bureaucracy. So we're going to get extra bureaucratic bonus points, which is the best in my opinion. It's a great start. So we have our starting cards. Like stuff like send spy, it's given as a card. So in another game, you might just have this as an option for a different nation. It's implemented as a card system here, so it takes some political points. It's the same thing as just clicking on a nation and having diplomacy directly with them, just implemented in a different way. So if you're a fan of cards or not a fan of cards, it's basically just the same as clicking on a nation and interacting with them through some diplomatic menu. Again, we have our Ascension speech. I think that since somebody's going to be happy to see me choose meritocracy, we'll go with that one. And good. So we start with no councils right now. So right now, that means that our organizations is only the Supreme Command Council, which is basically your head government. I don't know how to even describe it. It's the Supreme Command. So this is where our militia military funnels from. They give us this political power, then generate the stratagems for us, which I haven't really covered, so we'll actually go through these. We're going to have cards which can break into, or like, these are ways you can spend your political points. Broken into interactions with majors, interactions with minors, covert operations like send spy. We have our nation ones. These are nationwide. Again, we can have more than one city eventually, and these will impact all of our nations, so all city-states, including some which have a negative consequence. Why would you choose those? Because they give you these fate points, and fate points are like very valuable. It's kind of like trading in karma. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you have something really bad happen to you, which like allows you to like bank some points for good karma later. And usually these are like the good karma things. The way you spend your points is by, well, we hit a mother lode, or we somebody's going to implement a gladiator arena in our city, which is a good thing because that's entertaining. Or our people, our worker and population happiness will increase because we give them a feast, stuff like that. So and then you can influence your individual leaders, the ones that are part of your government. You can interact with them through some cards. You can also add different things to units, like special units, like a death-dealing robot. You can add, give a unit, one of your military units, a death-dealing robot, and then it's... I really like this start, by the way. We're right near the water. So we are, if I remember correctly, in the somewhat more distant part of the world, and this over here is the main hub. So we have the main hub over here. We're starting on the opposite side of the world. This is very cool. You can kind of think of this as like a Luke Skywalker type start. We're off in, the distant farms, and the main cities are out far off to the west or to the east. We're practically half the world around from us. And let's just make sure, I think it'd be a good thing to check, that we have a transport hub. This is the important one. We need this. So now everything should be connected to the transport network. Okay, good. So we're all set. What council do we need? Well, in my opinion, these are set up very nicely. Thank you, Vic. Kind of in the order you might want to acquire them. We want an economic council first. That's going to allow us to do some prospecting, which is how we discover new resources. So you can see that this is... we're going to travel along these roads and stuff, and... By the way, has the stream quality been okay? I'm really surprised that it's been so good. So we're doing the single city start, and we get to expand. I love this part of the game, where you get to just go and claim territory. I don't know why, I really love single city type starts. That's why I guess I just love 4X games. Okay, so while expanding with the number you see, you might have guessed this already, is the combat strength. So that's the NATO unit type. I can switch also, for those grognards out there, you can switch to pure NATO counters, which is kind of cool, but I'm going to leave them off just to make it more general. Also, you do have the NATO icon in the bottom left. So these things, it's very simple. Available action points on the top. You have combat strength, NATO icon, and then bottom left is the supply. Did I get full supply? Green. Did I get most of my supply? Yellow. Did I get not a lot of my supply? Blue. And then black is I got none. So that's not a good situation. Now this is a recon truck, very low strength. Even the strength it has is mostly tied up in mobility. So this one has artillery. So we could go over here and we could actually start bombarding whatever militia. But there's 2 militia in this hex. I don't want to face that with a very low combat strength. Okay, so this is a lot better. We have a much more powerful... This is more of a combat unit, and it also carries with it some artillery. So I think, although I would prefer to have my artillery... I would like to have my artillery attacking, but I'd like to have my trucks expanding. So what I'm going to do... I'm going to prioritize expansion right now, and we'll come back and annoy this militia. These are raiders, so they're not friendly people. We're just going to start expanding, though. And what I'm going to do to compromise, or like to make sure we're not abandoning this unit, and my city will become unhappy if I just let random raiders roam really close. So we do need to form some kind of line against them to make sure they don't get too close. Otherwise, this danger level is going to increase, and that will impact city happiness. So there's so many interconnected, mechanics. It's really cool. All right, so let's see. We have this unit should honestly move more along the roads since it's going to benefit most from the roads. I should have moved this other militia to the west. Well, I'm still going to go with that plan. You can see how much further he can move along roads. And they probably would move not too much different off the roads. The mobile unit will move a little bit faster. Alright, and that's all the expansion we want to do. Do we want to do any construction? So, one of the things we're going to want to do is make sure we have enough metal income, because constructing, although we had the industry level 1 in the previous, we no longer have that. So industrial points are going to be hard to come by until we get industry. But you can see that this requires 3 turns of 500 metal. We're going to need 1,500 metal in order to make that work. So we're a little bit of a ways off from being able to make that work. We're going to probably have to find some kind of metal gathering operation first. As far as fuel, food, and all stuff like that goes, I think we can sell some food here. No, I'd rather be selling water. Let's not sell food, just in case. It's like, I don't know. I mean, this is the first turn, right? We don't know. I want to make sure that these predictions are correct before we spend all our food and then suddenly start starving. So let's end the turn. Post-galactic empire apocalypse. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of describing it, Shards. Oh, okay. If there's been any issues with the stream, it's not on Slytherin's side, it's on mine. So essentially, just because of the COVID-19 stuff, I have been fighting with my internet service provider to try to get... I've been asking them if they can guarantee, 30% of my desired upload rate. My desired upload rate is X, and I only need X times 0.3 to guarantee a smooth stream. But they haven't been able to do that yet. So, if there's any issues in the quality, that is purely on my end. That's my stream going up, I believe. So I may not be uploading enough quality for the Twitch stream to render it at 1080. It might be worse. Okay, so second turn. 5 decisions to make. Same decision as before. We can do the... I would like to do the same decision, but let's make sure we don't have other money concerns. So national budget. I know that our Supreme Commander is not going to be happy, but I do want to prioritize the economic stuff, which is our first access to unlocking things through research. So I'm going to confirm this. Unfortunately, Supreme Command Council, this guy, he had the entire budget to himself. And now he's coming in, and I'm like, okay, there's a new council opening up, and we have to give them part of the budget, which entirely went to you. He's just not going to be happy about this. So instead of getting 100% of the budget, we're now saying, hey, you're not even going to get a half. Well, let's see what happens if we just give him half. Will he be happy?
Affirmative.
No. So he's not happy. He's like, I used to have 100%. Now I have half of that. I'm not happy. Well, I'm sorry, man. We have to split the budget. Okay, so we need a leader. Darn it, I messed up. I probably should have... Okay, let's quickly recruit a junior.
Affirmative.
I don't think that I may... Okay, good. So now we have 2 choices at least, which is always better. Actually, the new one we recruited is the one who is most suitable to this task. Amazing. So now we created this new economic council. There's positions open, and we get to choose who we want to go in there. Now, it's good, I think, to see what their likes and dislikes are. So he likes militia. Militia may not always be good, but I know that meritocracy is something I can focus on to keep my Drake Sonium, who is going to be appointed as the new director for the Economic Council. Fantastic. And he's going to ask the same questions. We'll do the same thing. Economic policies, we're going to save political points for the time being. Prospecting is still important because we want to find metal. And then basically it's going to be a lot of discovery. So we'll do something like this, and we'll tell him 100% relations with us, but that'll drop. He's just really ecstatic that we gave him the position. Over time, he's going to realize I'm just another boss.
Roger that.
So okay, yeah, so it doesn't look like we need to spend money in any other way. So let's do heart, because it's going to make this guy happy, and he's my first SHQ, Supreme Headquarters. I also generally like heart over enforcement, so let's do that. And this is now a commitment for us that we have to get to that hex. I didn't see the hex. I'm a ding-dong. I'm a big ding-dong. Okay, I promised that I will hold this in 6 rounds. 86-12. Note to self, read things before you accept them. 86-12. Well, this seems really doable. Oh, okay, I just need to hold this. Okay, that seems very doable. Now, what asset did this give us? Oh, amazing! So that industrial... Oh, this is such a great start. Oh my gosh, I'm probably going to continue this on the channel after. I probably need to drop the quality of the stream a little bit. I see that it's giving me only... Ooh, I dropped to as low as 1,000 kilobits per second. That's pretty bad. So I can tell my ISP is really fighting. I actually upgraded my plan just for this stream. And to no avail, coronavirus, it hits us all. Hope everyone is staying safe out there. And by the way, it's been an hour. I wanted to make sure I did this. After an hour, I wanted to take a break. Just a quick 2-minute break to focus purely on chat, to stand up and stretch. So let's maybe I'll do that at the end of this turn, though. When we're doing the turn resolution, we'll all just take a break. Make sure that everyone's not sitting in the same place for 2 hours straight. Let's have this unit go west, as I mentioned. Now, we are going to hit a mountain range there. It's so cool how you're interacting with the geography, though. I love it. So, yeah, let's go here. Something like this, just to push our borders out a little bit further west. Oh, amazing! We found metal. Okay, I raised my hand to the heavens. I really did in real life. I'm so happy we found a metal. So what we're going to have to do is, in order to get industry going, now we're going to have industry as soon as we can connect our nation with this currently disconnected area. Now to do that, I think I'll do something like this. We're now connected. I'll do this, and why not connect the entire thing? So there we go. That's all our territory now. Which means that we are going to have the benefits of this this is a Galactic Republic leftover. There's a very degraded automated factory here, AF being automated factory. But it's going to give us IP plus 40. And that's the main thing you're going to struggle with in the very beginning of the game is industry. So this is such a huge bonus for us. It's such a great start. So let's keep wandering up this road for 2 reasons. One, a derelict ancient mech, which is going to give us military research bonus points. Oh, fantastic. So I really want to lop off this entire corner. If I zoom out, let's see. Yeah, I want this entire island. If there's anybody up here, minor, major, whatever it is, this is going to be my push so that we have a nice, isolated, think about America and the development of America. A lot of the benefit of the United States came from the fact that it was isolated. I want to have a back-to-the-corner type existence, so we're going to try to conquer this entire peninsula. I don't know, it's a chain to the Arctic, to the pole. And actually, we kind of have to abstract that the polar caps of this planet are completely impassable because there's not a connection from here to over here, like over the North Pole. The fastest way from the United States to Russia is over the North Pole. We don't have that ability in this, so we'll pretend that there's some kind of, maybe the strength of the magnetic field is somehow very weak. Or maybe actually this is the pole. I don't know. The orientation of the world maybe is different. Just abstract it in a way which makes it so that we have a rectangular map instead of, obviously, most worlds would be a sphere. This is a typical problem with war games. We can't abstract a full world as a sphere. It's very difficult. So we have to make some kind of shortcuts. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna have this improving our military research capacity. We have a great area that we're gonna conquer, maybe even colonize a new city-state up there. As far as this militia goes, they didn't move against us. I'm a little reluctant to move against them. I think what we could do, though, is merge our forces into one area, kind of fortify there. We're going to bring this unit down, who is 400 and machine gun. This guy's machine guns are really good on defense, so I'm really happy to see. Like, the RPGs are not going to be as good against, on defense against just other infantry. So, this guy is another good one with machine guns. We want him to explore too, but we also want to focus on defending against these raiders. So these are essentially like Mad Max type individuals, raiders that we assume there's no ability to negotiate with them. Let's continue going over here. Oh, okay, so we found some more militia up here, and I think because we went only through the road, we should have supply thanks to now that it exists, the transport hub. At some point we do want to buy this transport hub. It's going to upset the city a little bit, but I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the only way now to get the transport hub is by buying it. You used to be able to build it yourself. Now I think you have to buy it from the private economy. Okay, so we have the money. Let's do this parade, or this reward to the militia. Because we will be relying on them a lot in the opening turns until we have the industrial capacity and the metal and all that to build our own. So the next thing we want to do is we want to start building some roads. So I can just hit R to bring up dirt road, 20 IP per hex. I really want to get down to this metal because I really want to build a metal extraction facility right here. So we're just going to right click. That took 48 industrial points to do. Hit M to move back to movement mode. And now we have, next turn, at least we will have a logistical network connected to this hex, and we can start building a mine there, which is perfect. So it looks like food after a turn is looking okay. I'm seeing green, which is making me happy. Looking really good. Oh man, this game is so awesome. I just love playing this game. Okay, so I think we're all set for movement on this turn, and we'll end the turn. And I will take my stand-up break. So let me go ahead and scroll over to the chat. Give everyone a chance. Hopefully you can stand up and take a break real fast. If everybody needs to use the restroom, I probably won't do anything on the stream for the next minute. Just maybe load back into the game. We killed 400 infantry, so it looks like they attacked us. So we'll just scroll through this real fast. Oh, yeah, actually, so there's these little events. As you expand and explore, you can find things. We actually found the equipment in order to equip 200 people with GR, Galactic Republic grade infantry weapons. That's really good. So that means somewhere whoops. Scroll out, scroll back in. Somewhere one of these guys has... Oh, here it is, right here. So we found the equipment in the mountains, and I have found automated machine guns, which are not mobile, in the mountains before, which is always a pain. So it's really nice that we also found something which is mobile, so we can move it back out of the mountains. So high mountains are very expensive to build roads into. Okay, so let me, been fun to watch, Charcoal. Great, I'm really glad to hear that. This is a really fantastic game. Let's see. Let me just scroll up on the chat if I can get over there. Got it. Alright, so we had, so I see some 25, what? Is this game only going to be, I would have expected this game would be like $40. I'm just completely, that's just my guess. But it might be way cheaper. Who knows? Empire Deluxe is on Steam for $20, free on Abandonware. Have we discussed, is there a price for this game? I see that people were not discussing the price of this game. Steam is struggling. Okay, I'm gonna, I have a choice. I think it's on my end. I think it's on my end, by the way. USS Defiant. But there is one thing I can do to change the quality. So I can lower this to 2500, which should be a little bit better. So let's see if that helps at all. The thing is, right now, I think I can look at my upload rate and it's dropping to 1.3 megabits per second, back up to 2.5, which is what I want it to be. So anyway, it should be okay right now because we're not doing anything. It's very little information has to be passed when I'm just streaming a blank screen, the same screen, no information changes. So anyway, so how is everyone liking the game so far? Is there an aspect of the game that you'd like me to cover more? Is there anything in particular you want explained, or if you want a deeper look into something? Or do we want to just try to mash through as many turns as possible? I think I've only gone, well, in this new start I've only gone 2 turns, but I think we can get to turn 10 or so before the end of this. I really like the planet generation. I think back to how Civilization series would have really benefited from this feature. Yeah, that's a great point, Charcoal. It's just so I'm speaking not to my mic, sorry. But the planet generation is so detailed in this. And, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun, by the way, as a comment to Vic, but just in general. It sounds like a lot of fun to research all the different factors which go into making a planet. So, are zones and their borders fixed at game start or adjustable? If adjustable, what's the incentive for multiple zones? Good question. So the zones are generated as part of the map in one of the later stages when it's generating like the colonization, and then after the dissolution war, there are fixed zones. Now you can choose to start one zone start, which is what we have going on in this game. You can also choose a 2-zone start or a 3-zone start, which essentially is like, it starts you with 2 or 3 cities. Now those are in random locations, and you can't like enter the map and put down where you want those cities to be. Now note that the actual place of the city is not that important. It's much more about your zone. The placement of the city itself has almost no effect on anything, as far as I know, except for the fact that your logistical center will be there. So if you were to put a city in the high mountains, you would obviously have a hard time getting supply into and out of that, just because it'll take a lot of industrial points to build roads up there. So it's probably good to have a city in the plains, and hey, you know what? That's how real life goes. You don't want to build on top of a mountain, so. I think everybody's internet is struggling with everybody and their brother on it right now. Yeah, the thing is, Lanzer, it's that I've been in discussions probably for like 4 or 5 hours. That's not an exaggeration. Probably 4 or 5 hours of talking with my service provider in the last week in preparation for this stream. I was so excited, and a lot of it. Hope everyone's stretching. By the way, I got to remind myself. Yeah, I was trying to make sure I had the good quality for this, and they kept saying, well, with COVID-19, everyone's working from home, which is true. Where I am in Silicon Valley, everyone is working from home right now, and you can imagine if Silicon Valley is working from home, they're all connected via VPN. They're doing conference calls, so it's just taxing the internet. It's straining it to a degree that I hope this isn't hyperbolic, but I would imagine this is straining it to a degree that it has never been stressed to before. Okay, so that's good. Let's jump back into the game. I stood up and stretched around. Hope you took a break, used the restroom if you needed to. Let's get back into it. Let me also bring over... I'm trying to pop out the chat. I thought there was a way to pop out the chat, which would make it a little bit closer to me. But I don't see that, so... Alright, we'll just go with it here. Okay, so let's jump back into it. What do we want to do? Well, eventually, when this guy gets done exploring, we do want to bring him back. Oh, okay. So, there we have it. We're not alone. We're, after the collapse, we've found the first other city. And this is a minor city. Which means that we can kind of compete for borders. I was able to take now this derelict ancient mech, a metal walker. We can essentially, if this is in our nation, if this is in our borders, we can have some people who go over and look at it. And I certainly want to do that. Let's take a look. So we actually lost control of this, which probably means that there's an enemy somewhere around. Oh God. There was an enemy. Oh God. So our unit, while it was just moving about the map, it just happened to stumble upon an enemy unit in a city that was hiding there. Now we attack. So when you're moving in, let me cancel this attack. Let's explain what happened there. I was moving my unit. They're in a city in the ruins, which probably gives them some hide points. I don't know how it works, but basically they were probably hidden in the city, and my troops wandered in there completely unknown to them that there was any enemy troops there. With a strength of 27, now that's very bad recon. We don't really know the full extent of their forces. And you can imagine this commander probably trying to report extremely high numbers, considering he was just slaughtered. Almost everyone in his troop was knocked out. Almost everyone died. So that's, less than good, but he survived somehow. He's kind of a useless unit with only one 100 rifle militia. But yeah, we kind of expected that there might be somebody over here because we lost the control of this over the course of the turn. Now, what I have the ability to do is I moved in here with my recon group, but they actually have some irregular artillery, some artillery which is being towed by the trucks. So I can actually right-click to attack, but I can switch to a ranged attack, and we can just start using our artillery. So we just stop in this, entrench here, and set up our artillery to start bombarding. We don't expect any return fire, meaning that they don't have artillery. Let's start attacking them.
Yes, sir. Roger that, sir.
Okay, so we did put in, obviously our entire turn could not be spent doing bombardment since we moved first, but we did some bombardment. Hopefully we weaken them, just make sure that they know that we're here. And now we're really presented with kind of a dilemma, right? We don't have enough forces to go around, and this is a very cool dynamic, right? I have forces, obviously, in the southeast and in the northeast. And then I also have, on top of that, a new minor nation to deal with. What I might want to do is do I have a strategy card? I don't have any strategy card for dealing with minors yet. If I could, I would like to make peace immediately with these people so that our borders are locked. Until our borders are locked, they can move forward, I can move forward. We don't have an official, there's no contact between our diplomats that establish an official line. Everything is just completely arbitrary. They can move here. I haven't established this as a claim. They don't know I think I have, but they don't know that because we don't have contact yet. So the borders can move back and forth, and we'd like to establish a claim. Obviously our biggest concern is, can we make sure that we keep the metal walkers on our claim, not on theirs? So we'll try to work towards that. Alright, so with this area now in the logistical network, we can build a construction facility. This is going to take 125 industrial points for 2 turns. Unfortunately, we don't have that stored away, 250 quite yet. I still think it's worth constructing that, so we'll get going. Now we have this yellow arrow mentioning to us, or just reminding us that we are building something there. So it would be good for us not to lose that. Let's see, who's more entrenched here? We have entrenchment of 40, entrenchment of 54. So I'm actually going to pull away the group with just the RPGs. I'm going to stick them on this hex just to make sure we don't lose it while we're in the middle of constructing something. I also want to explore a little bit further this way. I mean, we know that this is low mountains here, and even low mountains are hard to move through, but high mountains being just devastating. So we're just kind of moving along the outskirts of this mountain, exploring, and we see there's another town down here. All very good. And I think that's all we want to do for this turn. So we did our construction. Maybe we can go to trade and see if we can sell anything. We already sold off. The star and the equal sign here means that we reached our capacity. So we're storing in max that we can. So if we want to sell anything, we can't sell water, because we essentially already sold off the game. It's very nice. The game automatically sells off, if it can, any excess of the resources it has. So it already tried to sell off all the water, which means that now the traders have no interest in buying any further water. We already sold off so much water to them that they don't have any use for anymore. So they're not interested in buying anything else. Fuel, with only 121, I don't think we want to sell that. Food's increasing at such a small rate that it would be it's a little tenuous, but let's just sell 200 food. Just to get a little bit of cash. I don't like not having, I like to have a minimum of 500, so we'll see what we can do that. Everything's looking good though. I mean, everything's in the positive, so right now it's just going to take a couple turns for that metal line to build, and then after that it'll take a couple turns for us to get the materials needed to build an industry. And having this, we're going to park on this hex because having this asset, the degraded automated factory, which gives us industrial points, that's going to be just so huge. Let's go ahead and end the turn. All right, one decision waiting for us. All right, I didn't even talk about this, but so much to talk about. So there is also this other aspect to your profiles. As we gain, where our government has pursued a meritocratic, I don't know the word for that, but meritocratic I'll call it. Autocratic, democratic, I know that, but meritocratic? Not sure, sorry. We are pursuing a pro-meritocracy approach. If we end up pushing towards that, the more we specialize in meritocracy, the more kind of specialized features our government is going to have. And this is the same with the other competing tripod or triforce of arrangements. So same with commerce versus enforcement versus government. You cannot get all of these to 100. Each of these, if I go back to this map screen and we go to this, you can see that each one of these points to another one. And the one that points to another one controls that one. And it's such that if the total of these two is over 100, this one will start dropping at a faster rate than this one. Essentially, this one is controlling that one. And so meritocracy controls democracy. If your meritocracy is high, you can't have too much democracy. And democracy controls autocracy. If you have too much democracy, you can't have autocracy. And if you have too much autocracy, you can't have too much meritocracy. Now, there is a back action. This is not a purely one-way control system. If my democracy was at 50 and this is at 60, this might drop to 55 while this drops to 45. Or, it drops to 40 and 3 and this is to 58, something like that. But you want ultimately there is this trade-off. It's really well done. There's always a trade-off, which makes for interesting decisions from the player. Anyways, if you get one of them high enough, you can unlock special features for your government. We unlocked accomplished envoys. This gives us, as we see as a benefit, diplomacy rolls plus 30. I always try to go with mine because I'm a big research nut, and the first tier of this, technology fascination, gives us a plus 30% research bonus. Always a nice thing to have. But if you didn't go with mine, you could go with heart, which gives your troops a morale bonus, or volunteerism, which gives you extra militia in the beginning. So those are, still very good things. Hey, you need morale to have good troops. You need troops to have good troops. So, all those things are important. And probably helps you more in the beginning of the game than to focus on mind, which is still my preference. Okay, so let's move on then. Some more exploration to do. It's nice that our metal mines. Oh, okay. So as is typical in these cities, that's where the enemy is found. Looks like we're going to be okay building this. We have one turn left. Good. So we have one turn left on that. Explore a little bit. The fact that we didn't get anything here is troubling. Move back here, which is still going to kind of secure this area. And this guy's not going to move because I don't want his entrenchment to decrease. We'll right-click and continue to bombard. Actually, you can see that the blue, these guys are out of supply. Look at the supply. That's not a good thing. We'll still do bombardment. But we might need to start constructing a road for these guys. I have no idea what the effects of this is. It may actually have zero effect unless you scout them. But we're just basically firing blind into the hex. Yeah, so if I hit 6, yeah, this is our supply ability. So this is yellow. Green here, we can supply all this really well. This guy can't be supplied extremely well, but I'm going to bring this guy all the way back around. Obviously, wheeled vehicles do not like going into high mountainous regions. It's not really a good place for them. Go over here just to establish a border to the coast. Okay, that's good. So we're now controlling all of this. And staying close to the road obviously really benefits your ability to supply people. So, looks good. We'll leave that guy entrenched. Yeah, roads. So we might need to build a road out here. How do I want to do it? Just right from Pacifica proper? I kind of want to wait. I can't really wait. So let's start building the road here. Dirt road. Oh, we don't have any industrial points because all of our industrial capacity is currently being tied up in building this mine. Okay, so these troops are unfortunately just going to have to suffer through low supply until we have enough industrial points to be able to afford to build a road. We have one decision. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. So Light State, which I imagine is this, it is Light State, have asked us for regular relations, and this is going to lock the border exactly where I have it, which I am ecstatic about. And the good news is this is actually going to make everyone happy. This is a lucky situation. Oftentimes I've found that the more you do positive diplomatic relations with a minor or a major, the more people are negatively impacted. I might have just gotten unlucky, but it might be just random, you know. But that's a very good decision for us. We absolutely want to do that. And now you can see here the border is locking with this dark red, this reddish brown. That means that's if we want to go past that now, if I want to move through this border, it will be a declaration of war. So they will not push our borders, but there's still area like here, which is non-aligned, and that's free for anybody to move into. And another thing which happens is if an enemy raider, one of these raiding gray militia units, wandering Mad Max people, if they move into my territory, they start claiming it for themselves. If the Light State people follow behind them, they can actually start claiming that territory for themselves after that. Because essentially, they can just say that we're clearing those raiders. You don't have proper control of your own nation. So, oh god. Unfortunately, Light State is existing right here and right here. So I didn't really think about that. So they're going to have this little section of a little bit of border gore. They're going to have 1 hex here and 4 hexes here. You can see the white border. A little bit of a mistake on my part. I probably should have only agreed to proper relations after trying to claim that, but I might not have been able to claim that this turn anyway, so we probably did the best we could. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not going to impact things unless we end up with like a rare metal deposit there. So. Okay, so that's good for this turn. Let's go ahead and end the turn and continue. Basically waiting for that metal facility to finish building. Yeah, so Vic brought up at some point that, oh, we killed 600 troops. So that's a lot better for us now that we have a good defensive unit. I imagine that we were attacked in a place where we've been entrenching. Anyways, Vic brings up a good point about militia units. I'm only using militia units right now, which I have no control over. I have no control over what units are being built. It's really militia. It's people, hey, we have some points. He's got a rifle. Hey, Tom over there on his farm, he's got a lot of firearms. Let's just ask him to join the military. You can do something a lot more official by raising a formation. That is an aspect of the game that it's worth mentioning. Even this early in the game, you may not want to build a full division made up of several brigades. You may want, or is this a brigade made up of several battalions, probably? You may want to build just a single independent one-off unit at the battalion level. A good one, for example, is the buggy. Now, it says I have 0% of the supplies needed for that because I'm on, probably, okay, why? Let's look at why that is. Oh, because I have no industrial points right now. So I need to save up 100 industrial points in order to produce these 50 buggies. I don't have them built yet, and we need some industrial capacity, some industrial points, in order to construct these buggies. And you can see it takes a lot less. It only takes 1/10, only 10% of the industrial points to build just an independent infantry battalion. And this is true army, as in I have full control over this. I know exactly what these infantry are. I can upgrade them to different model types. I can equip them as I want. I have full control. Everything here with the big M on it, I have no control over that. This is just, the city has provided me with some farmers with guns, basically. So it's very cool. Everything about this game is so well thought out. Oh God! And look at that supply. Look at the supply. We've encountered a rogue unit here, which has unfortunately cut me off. I've reestablished supply now, but let's look and see, by the way, on the history, where were we attacked? Okay, I didn't see what that was. Down here. Okay, here's that unit. Is that one that attacked? No. Okay, so we had a unit here, which was attacked by 2,400 rifle militia. Now, we only have 600 unit ourselves, so we were outnumbered 4-1. Luckily for us, we've been entrenched there for a little while, I think, and we ended up suffering no losses. Part of the problem usually is that they don't have high recon or high morale, but defense has always been strongly rewarded in VR design games. Like 1-to-1 odds will get you just massacred. So we're going to continue to leave these guys entrenched. Entrenchment of 60 is, pretty good. And this guy's at 65, and it looks like they've actually moved out. The militia which were here have left, and now we only have militia here. Well, we got to protect. We're going to lose our entrenchment, unfortunately, but we have to protect our metal mine, which is almost finished being built. We're out of industrial points, but you can see the yellow. We didn't have the industrial points needed to complete it, but we're going to pour the industrial points, which hopefully we're getting from here. I think we're getting it from there. Industrial points, key to producing almost anything. Yeah, thanks, Vic. So we'll hopefully get the industrial points from here and add that to our main pool on the next turn, so that we can start producing a little bit faster, and that should give us enough points to complete the metal mine, and then we can start building more roads. Let's see. This is just a tough situation. If things stay exactly as they are, if he doesn't move further south, we'll be okay. I have to do this. We have to move here and just hope that this 200... It's only 200 units, and we're predicting them at 2,600. That would be 13-to-1 odds. I have to say, I'm not confident that we'd be able to overcome that. However, to our benefit, we do have an opportunity here to attack with our artillery. So let's do that with whatever remaining points we have after moving. And, nothing happening, basically. We didn't even identify who we were attacking, so I don't think we had any good shots going down on range. So, I'm imagining that our city is a little bit annoyed. Yeah, danger rating of 6 because, we have these enemy non-aligned militant forces so close to our city that they're demanding protection, and we're not giving it to them quite yet. So supply here is still in red. Could be better. You might say it could be better. Let's also do an attack on these guys. We have nothing better to do with our artillery right now, so we might as well use them for bombardment.
Yes, sir. Roger that, sir.
Well, I didn't see anything come with that, but maybe something. And I think that's all we need to do for this turn. We're just waiting for our metal mine to build, and then we can start building some roads. So let's go ahead and end the turn. You know that there is a graphical combat mode? Oh man, of course I know, Vic. I've never used it. Not in advanced tactics, not in decisive campaigns. Okay, I should show it off. You're right. I should show it off. It's just I far prefer the numbers. The numbers tell me everything. I'm a numbers guy. That's why I like Aurora 4X. That's why I like Rule of the Waves. I don't need to see beautiful graphics. I just look at the numbers and it all just... my imagination does the rest. But I shouldn't make that kind of assumption of everyone. Next combat, in fact we can do it right now. I don't think there's anything else to do with these guys except for do the same thing again. So now when I do this combat, we go here and attack, and we can switch to the graphical mode. So we don't know what's going on, we don't know what these units are, but we're slowly... Round 7, 20 action points, 10, 0. I don't think we did any work, again. Going back to textual, so detail should show just nothing, right? Oh yeah, we're attacking unknown enemy, so I guess maybe something is happening. But again, the textual tells me what the readiness was. It tells me how many units retreated or are dead. I really like it. Yeah, I have no recon on this hex, he says. So yeah, I only have 24 recon on the hex, which is why, yeah, of course I can't see those units. But the good news is this unit decided to move back, so we can consolidate our forces, which we will right here. And then we'll do another artillery attack here. Let's see, what's our recon? It's 40, so pretty low as well. Probably not going to have much information here either. Yet we'll continue to do bombardment. I don't know how this works. Vic can let us know if he wants, but if it's going to have any effect or no effect at all. If you're just bombarding a huge hex with some units in it, it seems like you'd have to get pretty lucky to manage to hit someone. So you probably need more recon. But still, maybe you get lucky. I don't know. Alright, so industrial points, now we're doing a lot better. We have 128. Let's start building a road so that these poor folks over here can get supply. This will cost 24, so that drops 104. This is going to cost another 24. We expect this to go to 80. It does. Look at that. Boom. So we built 2 roads. I think that's going to be enough for our supply to reach over here. We can actually go to the logistical map mode and see the preview for next turn. There's going to be 73 points delivered here. So every time your logistical network splits, your trucks can go, will go both places to deliver supply. You can also use this traffic mode by double clicking on a hex or clicking once and then clicking again. And you can actually limit. Let's see, do I want any? I could say limit all, restrict all movement of supply going this way. Or probably what you most likely want to do often enough is just allow all traffic through there. But if you end up making a very complex series of roads and you don't end up wanting your logistical capabilities to be depleted in one direction, you can make a traffic signal to essentially determine how much of your logistical supply is going which way. This is a very advanced feature. You may not need to use it ever, but if you want to micromanage it, it is there for your for the tabletop logisticians, people like me who just really geek out over logistics. It's really nice to see that. So I'll go back to the normal viewpoint, but that's another option available for you. So you can see the depth in this game is pretty staggering, and it's very interesting though. Alright, so I don't think we have anything else more to do here. We're just holding the line while our metal is now constructed. We'll get metal. Our metal should skyrocket next turn. It's constructed this turn, but it won't go into production until next turn. And then, what's another thing that we might want to do? Well, our food is getting a little bit tenuous. We should probably see about building an agricultural dome facility. So it looks like it's too arid here for open farming. So we can't use, we have to use a dome facility, which is going to be, unfortunately, slightly more expensive just from the aspect of energy. But it won't take very much water. It will take, a little bit less water by comparison. Now, unfortunately, water for us is actually in great supply, so we would have preferred an open farming type arrangement, which is not possible. So ultimately, this is what we'll go with. Let's see. 50 industrial points and 100 metal for 2 turns. We basically have that, so I'm just going to authorize the construction of this immediately. And that'll get our food stockpile up a little bit higher, which would be very beneficial. Estimated release date, roughly? That's a great question. I'm looking forward to knowing that myself. I'm even playing this, but I'm still looking forward to the development, the release. I don't know if a link to my channel is available here. I'll put it into the... Or maybe Charcoal Cheetah, are you there? Can you put a link to my channel? Do they allow links? I'm not sure. But anyways, I will be definitely playing a lot more of this game on my channel. You can rest assured. Also, I know I've been talking to Das Tactic, another great YouTuber. Check out his content. Das Tactic. Probably most of you know him. He's going to be doing some stuff on Shadow Empire as well. I think I'm done with this turn, so let's go ahead and end the turn again. No. Decision first. Skandark found unusual companion. Okay, Dolly Skandark is our governor. She likes us, so let's give her the benefit of the doubt here. I know civilians are normally not allowed to have access to our secrets of state. What are you? So she wants to give special access to a civilian. No, this is completely against all regulations. So this might have a benefit in to commerce. That's what I'm implying, or inferring, I should say, from this. This is an opportunity to increase our mind profile, though. But I do like commerce. Let's go ahead and say that this is okay. A one-time exception, Dolly. Please don't make a habit of this. So this is also going to increase our relations with her, and as she's the governor of our city, that seems like a good thing to do. Now, maybe that would have given us some terrible... Maybe it would have been autocratic at a point where we don't want any more autocracy. There could have been definitely a lot of situations where we would have been like, no, that's not okay. But just this once, we're going to allow it. And I think we're okay. Let's go ahead and end the turn. Thanks, Charcoal. I don't know, can everyone see that link? I don't know if links are allowed. Maybe the player can name things on their own for flavor immersion? That's a good question. I don't know if that's allowed right now. We were attacked again. Okay, we gained free market, which I think is the commerce-related attribute for government. We also discovered what a barracks is. You know, my whole scientific boundary pushing and then using engineering to implement it, the two-step research process, doesn't make as much sense when you think about something like a barracks. We probably understand the concept of a barracks, but still. Okay, two decisions, let's look at those. Okay, well, Skandark is making a habit of asking for crazy things. I humbly request you to allow me to persuade the news service to spend more time on the lot of the common man. And we can either allow this, which increases democracy and heart. We can say, no, it is not you who orders our news service. Now, the Supreme Commander and an advisor will be happy with that. First HQ will be happy with this one. Obviously, Dolly's going to be happy if we allow her. I don't mind getting some democracy in there, despite my High Lord and Ruler title. But mind is always nice as well. We don't want her to grow too big for her britches. You know what? I'm going to allow it again. We'll go ahead and allow it. Okay, so Economic Council is currently doing research into sealed roads, and should we switch to barracks? No.
Roger that.
Stick with sealed roads. That's going to be the paved roads. I currently only have dirt roads, and we're still... You can see that we're unlocking everything. We even forgot how to make, like, asphalt roads. So it's something we have to slowly build up to. Construction went forward at 100% on our agricultural dome, which is great. Looks like it did take a lot of our industrial points, so hopefully we have enough. We only need 50 for the next phase, so we do have 50. That's good to see. And notice that now our units here, with this road even extended a little bit, the trucks can move a little bit further, and our troops are able to bridge the gap. So now they're actually at green supply, which is going to be very helpful. It hasn't helped them in terms of recon, unfortunately, so we can just only continue doing the attacks, the graphical, pull up the graphical just for fun.
Yes, sir. Roger that, sir.
Okay. Nice little attack. We lost sight. This is worrisome. We actually lost sight of the militia here. We don't know where they went. Okay. Well, I'd prefer to get... I'm going to leave the Galactic Republic defense troops there, but I prefer to get my artillery over to bombard this unit, which doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. In fact, it's pretty much trapped. If anything, I'm going to move this guy here, because I want him to be able to run over and protect my Metal Walker research area, should the militia here start moving north. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want to lose that. We'll shift our troops over to continue to combat the threat of this militia unit, and we're still entrenching here. No new militia units yet, but we are hopeful that we'll get some more, that some more farmers will take up their arms and join us. But you don't control it, again, so we can raise formations if you want control. Right now I'm relying on the militia, probably a little too much, but the problem is I just don't have the capacity, the industrial points. Let's kind of take a look at what I need, what I should be targeting. So with an HQ, Not bad. I only need 50. I actually do have the ability to do this right now. 100% of the troops. And you can actually do it with only with less than 100%. I think it's 50% is what the minimum you need to build it. And then you'll slowly be reinforced back to full as you build the other ones. But having 100%, I kind of feel like I will wait one more turn and then do an MG, a machine gun infantry, because these guys are going to be focusing on defense. So with the focus on defense, I would prefer the machine gun infantry. Okay. Don't think there's anything else I need to do. So let's move on. 10 minutes left in the stream. But again, I mean, look, this game is amazing. There's way too much. I just can't possibly cover all the different aspects of things in 2 hours. But hopefully you're getting an idea for it. The cycle of play is probably playing out a little bit better at the end here. Getting bonus. Oh, we kept our promise. Hooray! There's a whole trust thing. Your leader actually has a trust score. We gained capable supervisors. I probably should take a look at the profiles that we're unlocking here. So we got accomplished envoys, capable supervisors, free market. So meritocracy is paying some dividends for us. Haven't unlocked the technology fascination, which is a big one for me. Troop types, this is another thing I haven't even talked about. I don't think we'll even get to it in the stream, but you can unlock different troop types. And you can build different models. So I've currently unlocked infantry, machine gun, truck, whatever. Once we get a model design council, we need to actually invest some points, bureaucratic points, into having a council for that. We can start designing different units. Like, I right now have something called rifle infantry, rifle militia. And when I build, as I definitely will this turn, let's raise our machine gun infantry. So we can do, I assume this is 100%. We can raise the entire thing, which is going to have 45 grunt type units and 1,000 Axi machine gun type units. And there it is. We raised our first army. Our real army, one that's just a professional military force, no longer just militia. They have a purple border. Vic, by the way, I don't know how to change that border. Is there a way you can change the border color? I didn't find it if it's there. It's not obviously a big deal, but it should probably be from this unit that we change it. But you used to click on the color in Advanced Tactics Gold and you could change it. Or maybe you need a leader to change it. Anyway, it's oh hey, city is building a library. Oh, is it Defiant? I didn't see that. Yeah, they're building a library, which is fantastic. So I didn't talk about this at all, but there's two aspects, just like in Distant Worlds Universe, just like in Aurora 4X. There is a private economy and a public economy. You control the public economy. The private economy does its own thing. In this case, and by the way, you can invest resources. If I click on the big town here and I call Dolly Skandark, hey, we've done you a lot of favors. Let's bring up our zone orders. I can actually control things like public budget. Like how much money do I want to give to the private economy? I can choose that here. One thing I will do is I will allow emergency food. Now that seems like a terrible idea considering we're losing food. Hey, by the way, how great was it that we started building a food facility? Looks like that ended up being a fortuitous, just a really lucky decision. It also makes sense to try to keep your food supply positive. So I'm going to allow emergency food because right now I don't want my city to starve. Now, oh my gosh. So we can set the national budget. I'm leaning even more towards economic. So let's go 55 maybe.
Affirmative.
And obviously the people who gain budget are happier. The people who lose budget are much, much unhappier. We have org decision. So we can add, now here's an opportunity if we want, we can add a military research council. This will further divide the resources we have. But let's go ahead and do it just so we can see what another council might look like. Seems like it's a good idea at this point for us to recruit another junior, just so we have more opportunities, more options for who will fill that void. We have one last decision about the militia. Now we can get extra experience into our militia by paying 400 credits. I'm not going to go with that option though because we just have so few credits to go around. I'm just going to say go ahead and integrate the mercenaries, but don't spend any extra money for the extra experience. So with this army, I can now actually afford to go around and defend the places, and I can switch my militia to an aggressive offensive stance, or I can leave them holding and use my machine gun group for the offensive action. I would prefer, well, this isn't good. I know what's right here. There it is. So let's use my my machine gun group to hold the entire southern border here, which means that they just got created, so we can't move them this turn. But next turn, I'm going to start moving 1 over here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going to hold the southern border, and these militia will be pulled up north to deal with the enemy raiders up there. And I just love making those decisions, that kind of operational level decisions. It's very cool to be interacting with both that kind of operational level scale of the military while also managing the whole economy of your city-state. Game is really amazing. So, having a good time with it. Construction-wise, how are we doing on our dome? It's got 1 turn left. Oh! So we run into a problem that we don't have any... Good thing I didn't... We're going to have to buy this machinery. We could produce it ourselves, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and buy some machinery here. We'll go ahead and buy 4 of them, because there's probably going to be other things we need. I'm going to go ahead and buy 5, actually.
Yes, sir. Roger that, sir.
So our SHQ commander managed to reduce the price a little bit by bargaining, intimidation, whatever you want to abstract that or imagine that as. He was able to talk with the trader, talk down the price a bit. So this was not able to be constructed because we didn't have the machine needed to build it. So now we went to a trader and said, hey, that technology that nobody knows, well, we actually do know how to make it. It's over here in the workshop. But it requires rare metals, which we don't have. So we'd have to buy the rare metals and then make it. But rare metals sell for so much that it's actually cheaper to buy the machinery straight right now. If we have rare metals coming in, which honestly I guess we don't have it from, we need a, honestly, might benefit us to buy this, nationalize this scavenging facility eventually. Even though it provides money right now, which is good, it would then give us rare metals. The rare metals are being all taken by the private economy. It's a rare metal, it makes sense. I mean, it's an important thing, but we also need them. Hopefully our economic investment, through the Economic Council, our sub-investment there into prospecting, I hope will pay dividends by revealing for us a rare metal deposit, just as we had revealed for us a metal deposit. I see we only have 3 minutes left in the stream, so I'll try to scan the... city is building library. Yes, Vic had to run. Private economy is what made Distant Worlds so great. Yeah, so that's... anytime... I think getting the balance between private and public economy is extremely difficult. I think it's you're basically building 2 separate games. Games usually have either only private economy or only public economy. Either one of those is difficult to build. Implementing both is difficult. Then you have to balance how do these two interact is extremely difficult. So I do not envy the task that Vic had to go through. So anyways, thanks for Vic for taking part in the stream for the amount he was able to. He's probably off to program. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, we probably just want to end the turn so that I can get these units out of here. No more construction for this turn. I want to save up some construction points. And look at the metal. With this metal factory, all things are going perfectly according to plan. We'll probably be on pace to start our industry next turn. So let's end the turn. I don't know if people are able to see Charcoal Cheetah's stream link. I think you're able to, but he is linking to my channel. Thank you, Charcoal Cheetah. So I have, I will definitely be continuing this playthrough. I'll try to link to this stream or something. But it's just, this is a really fun start. This particular one, I'm talking about the one we're doing here. I've done 11 different starts. I've been tracking them. We did kill 300 infantry. Let's see what happened. Who attacked whom? Oh, okay, it was down here. Well, they only lost 100. That's not what I saw. So they did attack our entrenched forces. Even though it was, 3-to-1 odds, they lost 100. We didn't lose any. There was definitely another attack somewhere. Oh, and there it is. And there's another 200 losses. So their rifle militia, 1,500, attacked into our 600 and took 200 losses. Again, this game does heavily favor a defensive posture until you have overwhelming units. Or it favors building... I mean, these are like troops. I mean, the most basic troop, the militia troop, the rifles, soldiers, stuff like this. These are the kind of troops that, if you can imagine, if you're sitting in cover, entrenched, and then a wave of units comes at you, the people defending are just going to have such a strong defender's advantage. When you start getting things like tanks, now the whole situation flips on its head. And tanks are obviously definitely something you can do in this game. So it's if we go through the types, yeah, so we go from truck to light tank, medium tank, then you have heavy tank, tank destroyer, monitor tank, mobile shield, wide area shield, defensive tanks. You have mechanized artillery from artillery. Artillery is also another thing which helps you. It's like the World War I solution to breaking entrenchment, artillery. And you have the World War II solution, which was tanks. And you have APCs to actually protect your troops in the trucks. All of this is available to you. You just unlock it through research and you slowly build up. It's really impressive. I just keep talking about it in circles, but it's really impressive how amazing this game is. So much depth to it. Okay, so we can actually move our units this time. I think we'll move one over here. We may want to double up some of these guys. I'll move 5 here, 4 here, 3 here, and 2 here. And then we can get our militia to actually pull out. And they're going to move north to reinforce our forces battling that one raider group in the east. I'm going to leave this militia here just because he is holding ground, and we'll be able to cover that ground on the next turn. Yeah, so. Okay, our library was constructed, so now this will be providing us a nice bonus, which is great. And our dome, now that we had machinery finished building, we have a good amount of industrial points, we have a good amount of metal. It's time for us to build our industry, which is just, I mean, that's where things really start moving. Our economy really, our public economy, I should say, really starts getting moving once we have a industry there. Now, although this metal walker is currently cut off and we don't have access to, unfortunately, the military research that it gives us, I'm not sure it's worth the effort to... Okay, there it is. I'm not sure it's worth the effort to try to relink it. We did in this case. We did do that. And I'm just basically trying to make sure that this unit stops disrupting our road. They keep coming on the road. Hopefully we can stop that. 4 decisions. Let's go through these. We have a policy speech time. It's time to... We could basically have an opportunity to push our government's focus on one of these 3 things in a particular direction if we can promise something. We can get democracy by saying we're going to increase the average entertainment. Heart and soldier morale is one we can increase nicely. Percentage, I don't want to increase fists. Let's go with this middle one. We can always increase morale by paying the troops more. A new director for the military. Well, Cap 4. Wow, this guy's great. Government, militia, those are 2 things that I don't mind trying to move forward with. This guy's not as good, but he has a higher suitability rating, probably because of interpersonal relations, I guess. Not sure. I think I want to appoint Mike Quirk. He seems like he's much more talented overall, although it might... You know what? Let's go with Oscar just because it might come back to bite us. Okay, heart, not good. Militia, not good. Democracy. Let me take a look at our profile. We're more democratic. What was your leanings? Government. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to appoint Mike Quirk. And let's focus on discovery first. I don't know if you could tell in the tech tree, and I know that we have to wrap up here, but let's just focus on the tech tree for a second. you can see that some things are EC for Economic Council, MI is military, and then eventually AP is for applied science. You have all these different councils that you need to invest in different research. It looks like the three that you use are Economic Council, Military Council, and Applied Physics. So we don't need the Applied Physics yet because we don't have access to the Applied Physics type technology. We're at basic type of stuff. But anyway, now that we've done this, we have, oh, look at this. Only one person left for, maybe we can squeeze in a second option here. Nope, we don't have an option. So it looks like the the only man available to the job is the one who gets the job. There he goes. It's our commander of our 1st Infantry, which will also move down over here. He'll defend the metal asset itself, although he is an HQ. So that's it. That's going to wrap up the stream. We'll probably end the turn just to see one more turn resolution, but you kind of are getting the flow of it now. We're constructing industry. We're going to keep expanding. We want to increase the industrial production points. From there, we can eventually improve the logistics. We can maybe build a rail station. We'll need enough money to buy a transport hub, and then we can we'll have more control. I'll actually have, if the private economy isn't using some of our trucks, we'll have more trucks. So this truck-free AP, as it's known, but it's basically the action points, the movement points allowed for our supplies goes up by double. I think it goes from 50 to 100 once you control that, which means that if roads take 10 to move on, we can go 5 roads right now. We can go 10 roads once we buy that asset. Now, people aren't going to be happy when we rob them, the private economy, of the transport facility, knowing that we are now the ones in control of it. It's, this debate between private and public, is it the government controlling it or not? People are a little bit unhappy when you just buy out the private entity. But anyway, so that was a really fun stream. I love this game, and I will definitely be putting more content on this up. So thank you to the 121 people that are currently still on the game. Sorry if this was a speed run through all the different mechanics. There's just so much to show off in this game that it's hard to bring everything, to showcase everything in a 2 hour. I mean, it's hard to even say. 2 hours in the game is just not enough to show all the complexity, and yet you can see we can easily move forward with a lot of things without really knowing all the underlying mechanics. So it has that really nice, easy to learn, hard to master type stuff going on. I think it may not be quote unquote easy to learn, but hopefully I'll put up some tutorials when the game releases, just to help anybody who's missing the foundations, the basic principles. So once again, thanks to Slytherin. Thanks, KG Moose. Slytherin, of course, giving me the opportunity to show you this game. Vic of VR Designs for making the game. You can check out both of them on Twitter. Slytherin, I think, is just at Slytherin. It might be something different. I'm sure if you Google Slytherin Twitter, you'll get it. And Vic, VR Designs, is also on Twitter. You can follow them if you want. My name is Tortuga Power, and I am on the Tortuga Power YouTube channel. I also have a Twitter, but don't worry about that. Go over and check out my channel if you are interested in seeing some more Shadow Empires. Again, I also think Das Tactic will be releasing some stuff